Black Goat of the Woods sucks. It is the hardest Great Old One in the entire game, in my opinion. I have never beaten him, and as far as I'm concerned, he can be chucked straight into the bin. Having said that, we're still going to paint him. Welcome back to the How to Paint series for Coffee House Productions. We're going to go ahead and start taking a look at the Unspeakable Box. Now, this is the stretch goals box for the first Kickstarter campaign for Cthulhu Death May Die. Compared to the most recent stretch goals box, this one is a lot smaller. There's fewer investigators, there's fewer enemies. But in this box, you do get two great old ones. Now, the Black Goat of the Woods technically does not fall into the Unspeakable Box category. He was an optional purchase, but I am lumping him into this kind of section of the How to Paint series just because I didn't really have any other home to put him in. Now, having said that, because he technically does not belong to this box, that is why he is actually kicking off this part of the series. There's a lot of wet blending on this model. Now, if you've been following along and you've been painting along with this series, wet blending is nothing new for you. It's not scary. It's not intimidating. You're a professional. There's no big deal. But I just wanted to make you aware you are going to spend a significant amount of time with this model wet blending. There's not too much more to say about him. He's nice and dark. He's nasty. He's got a ton of tentacles. Now, the Dark Young as well, same thing. It's a whole lot of wet blending, so let's just go ahead and dive right in. All right, get ready for the most annoying minis ever in this entire set. It's fitting since they're the most obnoxious enemy in the entire set. So we're going to go ahead and dry brush some Imperial Navy acrylic. It doesn't have to be this exact color. You want a darker blue color to dry brush your mini with. I just happen to have the Imperial Navy on hand. That's what I went with. Any kind of darker blue is going to work just fine. And you're going to cover everything except for the, tips of the branches sticking out of him. You're going to hit pretty aggressively with this dry brush. Don't be afraid to go pretty heavy with this dry brush. And then what we're going to do is I'm using Wolf Gray. You're going to use a lighter blue dry brush, and you're just going to hit the top surfaces of the model. So the tops of the thighs, the top of the body, and the tips of these tree branch things. Now we're going to come in with Grim Black, and we're just going to cover pretty much everything except for the hooves and the tentacles coming out of the knees and mouth. And we're not going to touch the tree branches coming out of the top yet, but we will once everything else is done. And you'll see why in a second. Genuinely, I dislike this box so much. Not even just from the painting aspect, which I really did not enjoy painting it, but the Black Goat is so freaking hard. I've never beat him, ever. Ever. Have you guys ever won against him? I have not. So we've got this Desolate Brown. So now we're going to start tackling these branches up here. So you're going to go about 3/4 up with your Grim Black with a big brush, and then you're going to switch to a smaller tip brush, and you're going to hit the rest of it with that Desolate Brown. And you're going to pull that Desolate Brown into the Grim Black. So pure Desolate Brown on the top tip of the branches, and then you're going to pull it into the Grim Black on the rest of the branch. This is also known as the two-brush technique, a two-brush technique, because we're using one brush for one color and another brush for another color, and, you know, it is what it is. And you're going to repeat that process for every single one of these branches. The black, and then the Desolate Brown pulled into it from the top. It's very tedious. It's going to take a while, but the effect ends up looking really cool. So just stick with it. And you're probably asking, why did we bother? Why did we bother with all that dry brushing? And it's because with the way the speed paints work, it's a subtle effect, but it is going to create a nice color contrast. There's going to be, it's nice. It just looks real good. Trust the process. Now here I am picking out all the mouths that we painted over all across the body, so that we'll be able to then paint that here in a minute. So I just use a mix of white and gray to match my primer, match whatever primer you use. That's all you gotta do. I'm gonna come in with a cultist cloak and we're gonna hit those hooves. So you can see those subtle hues of blue sticking out. It's so cool, it's so cool. Now we're gonna take some slaughter red and we're gonna do the tongues and we're gonna do the mouths. And we're gonna do the tentacles, and yeah. Anything that we haven't painted yet, we are hitting with the slaughter red. Again, this is one of those models that's just the sculpt of it, the shape of it, it's really, really frustrating to make sure you get every nook and cranny of this model with paint. Just have patience. Now we're going to pick out some details. So I'm using desert yellow acrylic. Bit of a dry brush action going on here. And we're going to hit just the top tips of these branch things. Pretty much where we did the desolate brown, you're then going to hit with this dry brush just to further increase that look of, hey, this is wood. These are tree branches. That's the vibe we're going for here. And you're also going to do the same thing on these tails. I mean, it's just more branches, but you know, they look like tails. That's the intention. You're going to do the same thing. Now we're going to come in with a fine point brush, nice small tip, and we're going to pick out these vines, whatever you want to call them, on the thigh. And you're not going to use a lot of paint here. You're not going to use a lot of pressure. You're just going to drag that paint, drag that tip of the brush across the surface here. You're going to let the weight of the brush and the weight of the paint do the work for you. You're barely touching that surface. You're letting your tools do the job. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Let your tools do the job. I'm going to switch over to some ancient stone, and now we're going to pick out the teeth from all that slaughter red that we went ahead and put on this model, because these are mouths and they're nasty. And you're just dabbing, you're just making little dabs. Same thing, not a lot of paint on your brush, virtually no pressure on your end. You're just letting the brush and the paint do the work. And they're gonna end up looking like, you know, that. Now we're moving over to the big guy, the piece de resistance of this video, and it's almost the exact same process. I used a different darker blue for my base dry brush. You can use the same dark blue, whatever you have on hand is totally fine. I'm just hitting his physical body. I'm not hitting his tentacles or horns or anything like that, just the surface of his body. His torso, his legs, his shoulders, his biceps. Do your best to avoid the tentacles and everything else on the model. But we're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna hit it completely with this darker blue, and then we're gonna hit the uppermost facing, topmost facing surfaces with a lighter blue color. Just like we did with the dark young. So you see me coming in with that wolf gray again. Like I said, just the shoulders, the chest, the backs of the arms, just the top half, the uppermost facing. Did nothing on his back. I was like, nope, never mind. Get the top of his thighs, just the top of his thighs, down to the knee, just the top portion though. And then I went ahead and hit these little nodules on the side with that lighter blue as well. It's gonna look like that. Now, just like the dark young, we're coming in with that grim black. And we're also going to be wet blending with aged hide and bright red. So if you watched the Elder Thing video, it's the same ratio. It's just a 1-to-1 ratio. But we're going to be wet blending with that. So just have that ready on your palette. And in the meantime, we are covering this guy in the grim black. And you can already see that blue creeping through. And it's a really nice contrast. It creates a lot of diversity in the black. So I come in with that mixture and I wet blend. And you're going to be doing a lot of wet blending on this model. So be prepared, be ready, and you got to move quick. So I come down with that black a little bit, and I grab that aged hide and I blend. And pull the colors into each other. And down we go. With just the pure aged hide now. And I go about 3/4 of the way down. Or maybe I painted the whole thing. I painted the whole thing, but then I come in with the black. That's what I did. So I painted the whole thing with the red aged hide color, and then I covered it with the black. And I mix the two together, and I pull until I have a nice transition. We'd repeat this process again and again and again. Tip with the black. Tip with the black. Come in with the aged hide. You're basically going to be wet blending the top portion of the tentacle and the bottom portion of the tentacle with the black, and everything in the middle is going to be that aged hide, and you're going to blend the two together on either end. That's basically the rule of thumb for this model on the majority of the tentacles. Continue filling in that black. And the wet blend. Black on top. Aged hide / red in the middle. And then that black blend on the bottom. It's a very tedious model with all the tentacles and all the blending. You're going to feel like you're working real hard. Come in with that black, and we blend, pulling it down into the red. Doing the same thing on the other side. Black, add the red, pull it into themselves. There we go. English. It's my first language. Now these big beefy boys, the ones coming out of his back, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna add some fresh Grim Black along the top here. And then we went in with that red. My camera glitched out, so I don't have it, but I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just pulling that red from that black and vice versa. So we're coming down here. Add that black. You're just gonna blend the two together. You're gonna snake your way up that tentacle with that black into that red. Create that nice smooth transition, that nice gradient. That's what we're looking for. Do the same thing on the other one. Black on the top, bring it in, mix it together. Black on the bottom, mix it together. We're gonna leave those nodules on the side for now. Now we're gonna tip the bottom portion of his little beard of tentacles with the black. And then, surprise, surprise, we're coming in. Told you there's a lot of blending on this model. Black coming out of his shoulders. Going about a quarter way up the tentacle, maybe not even quite that, and then you come in with that H-tide and blend away. Are you seeing a pattern here yet? Should I keep repeating myself? I'm going to stop repeating myself. Now, the tentacles that are all coming out of his head, we are not wet blending with any black, so we're just using that straight H-tide red concoction here. There's no blending at all. You want to make sure you stop, though, when you get to his head. Like so. So we're going to come in with the black first. And you saw that desolate brown. We're going to do it just, well, not quite just like we did with the dark young, but very, very similar. So we're going to hit this first with the Grim Black. This is just his kind of skull head portion. So we've got the Grim Black, and then we're going over the top with the Desolate Brown while it's wet. You're just going to paint right over it with the Desolate Brown. And you can repeat that process on every single horn coming out of his skull. I guess they're horns. Yeah, they're horns. We'll call them horns. Black covered with desolate brown. Add a little bit there to create a nice soft transition. Paint his face black, and then while it's still wet, we're going in hard with the desolate brown. Right across the face. We're also taking that desolate brown and we're hitting these nodules down here on either hip. I don't know what else to call those. Same thing with his hooves, that desolate brown. It's a nice wood color. I'm gonna hit both of those, make sure they're nice and covered. Progress report. Alright, so we're going to water down this rainforest green like a lot, and to the point where like you can just kind of tap your brush along the lines here and the paint just pools into the crevice. So you want the rainforest green to pool into these crevices. That's how thin you want it. If you can't get it to pool, it's not thin enough. We're going to do this whole outline here. Don't worry about being too careful, because we're not done yet. We're going to fill in the eyes. And we're coming in with True Blood. And we're going to go over all that green stuff with the True Blood. Again, you don't have to worry about being super careful here. But you're going to go ahead and cover everything that we just covered in that green with the True Blood. And like I said, you don't got to be super careful. You want to make sure it's nice and visible. Because again, we're not done yet. Get those eyes, fill in that whole crevice, the whole eye socket. And yeah, you'll probably need to go over this a few times, and that's okay. Now we're coming with pure red acrylic, and we're gonna pick out the eyes. Just a little dab of paint on the eyes. Don't go crazy here, just a little dab. Don't forget his knees, by the way. I forgot while I was filming to do the knees. Please don't forget the knees. There's eyes on his knees. His face. Now again, very carefully, we're going to go over this one more time with that pure red. And this is, again, you want this thinned out very similarly to how we thinned out that rainforest green, to where you can just kind of touch the line and it pools in there. Good look at my thumb. And we're almost there, guys. So now we're going to take some desert yellow, a little bit of a dry brush situation here, and we're just going to hit his horns a little bit, his horns and his face, just to give him that extra woody feel. Because remember, he's part wood. Hit the nodules, front and back, and then he's also got these nodules kind of flecked all over his body, and you're going to want to hit those as well. Just gently, like a dry brush, like so. Just to give him that extra woody feel. So I'm gently just dabbing. It'll pick up the paint. And if you followed along, your guys are going to look like this, except his knees are also going to be glowing. Yeah, those dark young were a pain in the ass, weren't they? Yeah, the little branches, especially up top, making sure you're getting every single nook and cranny there. It is frustrating, it's tedious, just like the black goat himself. So I guess thematically it is appropriate that painting him would be such a challenge, but we've done it. I hope you like it. I hope you've enjoyed these episodes so far. We're still cranking them out. We're still going through it. I appreciate every single one of you that watches. It does mean a lot to me. Now, of course, here's the part where I tell you to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. I've got my links down below as well. I do have a Patreon where you do get early access to all of my videos, as well as some exclusive videos here and there that only the patrons get. I've also got a link down there below to my Etsy shop, where if you don't actually feel like painting all of these things yourself, I offer miniature painting services, as well as a few items here and there that you can just buy outright. If that interests you as well, go ahead and take a look. No pressure, but every little bit does help me out. So thank you again so much for watching, guys. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one.